Well, it's part two. I'm with Viddal Riley. I'm not calling him Riddell Viley as I did last week.
You got it right
The
this week.
video. Viddal, we ended last week talking about how you think outside the box and how you do things, and you brought up yoga. What's a big, rough, tough guy like you doing sitting still, meditating?
Doing yoga. Well, yoga is become a big part of my training. Initially, it began because of the tightness in my body. You know, I'm a very, very muscle bound. During all my years of boxing, I never really prioritized stretching, the flexibility side of things. Like warm up, cool down was always like, that's boring. Let's just get the gloves on and get it done. And then as you get older, you realize how your muscles, you're more prone to injury the tighter you are, you know. So I said, okay, I need to adopt a new approach here. And that's when I added in yoga. So initially it was to improve my flexibility and help the muscles for boxing. And that's still the case. But now I've started to realize the mental benefits as well, and adding the breathing techniques in and just allowing yourself to live inside your body. You know, that's what I feel like the best thing is. Yoga gives you that opportunity to live inside your body, feel the little aches and pains, and, you know, feed your body what it needs, rather than say a workout where sprints, you're just trying to die. It's the opposite effect. You're trying to feed your body something new, and you realize it's a journey and it takes time. So yoga has definitely been an enlightening journey for me, and I'll continue to do it. I think even in retirement, I'll do it.
Yeah, well, it's one of those. It is about enlightenment doing yoga, isn't it? That
yes,
it's weird because it's almost the polar. Yoga is almost the polar opposite of physical war, isn't it? Weirdly.
Yes, and it's hard. It was hard for me to adjust to that concept because I'm used to physical war. That's what I like to do. So when, you know, my yogi instructors are telling me, no, this is not the purpose, this is different, it took a while for me to accept that, but I'm getting it slowly. I'm getting it. I'm going to continue doing it as well.
How do people who are very advanced in yoga respond to you, knowing that you're a fighter? Do they enjoy the?
No, I got a personal yogi instructor, and she's amazing. That she understands what I do. She understands that my muscles are going to be very tight in certain areas, you know, my body, my mentality as well. So it's about training the mind. Like anything, it's about training the mind along with the physical side of things. And I've been working with her for about a year now, and I've definitely seen some improvements. Definitely seen a lot of improvements. So they got patience.
And exactly, and as you say, it's something that now may stay with you for your entire life, which is brilliant.
I think so. I truly believe so. Truly believe so.
Is there any chance now that perhaps when you know people have a sleep in the dressing room, sometimes some fighters do, is yoga there with you pre-fight now in the dressing room?
Yes, yoga is with me. Not, I wouldn't say I'll go through a whole yoga flow, but there's definitely yoga inspired moves in all my warm-ups now, and they'll definitely be used in the changing room as well, because you just feel like parts of your body unlock as you're doing certain poses. You know, if you got tight hips and you're in a certain pose, you just make that pose dynamic, and you realize, okay, my hips feel looser now. I can twist in my shots a bit better now. So I don't want to give him too much of my secrets, Gareth.
Okay, fair enough. No, fair enough. But there's no secret then from yoga to KSI. I've got to ask you about this. I mean, there's an extraordinary documentary on Amazon Prime that is really worth watching. I mean, it's brilliant. It really shows.
It's a good watch.
Oh, it's a really good watch, and it also shows what someone who's never boxed. It's really good for people who doubt, for example, YouTubers getting into boxing and what they're doing and how they're testing themselves. And
I agree.
About patience just now, your patience with KSI through that whole process of training him for the fights, you know, in America and in the UK, and like just the thrill of a newbie in the sport, realizing how his body's come alive. We talk about how our bodies working with the body. His body came alive. He was a chubby kid, You know, he
He
talked
was
about
just
himself.
playing games. He was just playing computer games.
Yeah, exactly. And he said, like, I've never had a body like this before. It feels extraordinary. He felt so good about himself, and he's a wonderful man anyway. I've had the privilege of meeting him a few times, of course, around you and around his fights. And just tell me how all that began with you, KSI, and you being around him and you guys working together.
Well, I was a personal trainer at a gym called Gymbox in Stratford, and I trained a lot of other YouTubers before I trained him, but they are his friends. So I've never trained any other YouTuber for boxing specifically, but I used to add it into the sessions for cardio. And along the way, you know, they found out my credentials as an amateur and whatnot, and he was looking for a coach. And through training his friends, they said, "Look, my PT, he's a boxer. Like, he's got a lot of credentials behind him as well. Maybe you should just shout him and see if he can teach you something." He came down to the gym one time. He put the gloves on. I put my gloves on, and I think he just realized, wow, like, okay, maybe he can teach me something. That he's as good as my friends have been saying, and that's where the relationship began. Honestly, that it was organic. And I think it was through the success physically of his friends, the transition he saw through them is what allowed him to give it a chance and say, well, you guys have improved, you keep talking about it, let's give it a shot. And he didn't look back after that.
You would have seen a new world there.
Yes, a world I did not know existed.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't either. The Sidemen, meeting people like Chunks. Yeah. So all these guys, they're a fascinating group of people, aren't they? You know.
Honestly, I didn't know what a YouTuber was. I remember my first client who was a YouTuber, Anis on Gib, and he said to me, "I'm a YouTuber," and I said, "I don't know what you mean, don't know what that." And he was doing sessions with me every day. And, you know, that's not cheap. Personal training every day is not cheap. So I'm like, I don't know what you do. I don't know how this works, but fair enough. You got money. And then when he started explaining it to me and started breaking it down to me, I said, wow, okay, this is how you guys live. I understand now. But it did take a bit of time because up until 19 years old, 19, 20 years old, I had no idea that from YouTube you could make a living like that. I had completely no clue. But my eyes were open to it. And then now, fast forward, I've got my own YouTube channel and fully invested in the community. So it goes to show, you know, you can't be ignorant to certain things because you can benefit from them if you're willing to open your mind.
And also, I think the bigger picture is through your work with KSI and what he's done.
Yeah.
It showed other people how you can change your life physically.
Yes.
And he's better for it, isn't he? He's so much better for it all.
He's said himself, whether he boxes again or not, he stays in the gym. He stays running. He runs almost every day. Like, there's things that have been, it's innate in him now to just continue because of such a strict pattern that he had to follow to fight. He feels bad if he stays sedentary for too long. But that is perfect because we want everyone exercising. We want people to be healthy. We want people with his influence to encourage others to exercise and to care about their physical fitness as well as their mental. But he's shown a lot how much he cares now about how he presents himself, how to stay in shape. And I'm sure there's millions of people out there who he's inspired to start that journey.
How much fun was that event, KSI and Logan Paul in California?
Oh, that was the best event. I always say that if YouTube boxing ended there, it could go down as one of the greatest things ever. Just being in Staples Center, sold out. You know, you got superstar rappers in there, athletes. It was quite a scene, you know. Matchroom obviously promoting it. It's on the Zone. It was one of the pioneering events on the Zone to launch off the app.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was a good fight.
It was.
It was a good fight. It was a close fight. It had everyone on the edge of their seats. And if there was never a YouTube fight after that again, I'd be happy. I could say, okay, that's it. You stepped out on the highest note you could. But it was amazing to be a part of. I couldn't believe the promotion. It was the press conference. You know, Shannon Briggs giving me a lot of stick as well. A lot of things I didn't expect to experience being on that journey, but so valuable and things that I'll cherish forever.
Oh no, I turn around. Israel Adesanya here, Justin Bieber sitting in front of us here, Ryan Garcia just over here.
It was massive. It was
Lil Wayne over there.
I
mean, I don't know. AJ McKee and Baby Slice.
Rick Ross was there as well.
Everybody. It was unbelievable. It was the whole build up, like you say. It was. And my question to you on that is, there's a lot of criticism around how it's gone on from there. You know, we've had Logan Paul fighting Floyd Mayweather. Remember?
Yeah.
We've had so much more. Look what Jake Paul's doing. You know, these guys are getting contracts with big people and with big networks. And I'm sure Tommy Fury and Jake Paul will happen at some point. What's your take? What's your take on how that is taking off and moving in different directions?
I think it's a good thing. It's a good thing, but it's not as special. It's not as special as KSI and Logan Paul facing off. You know, I don't know why some things just are, that way. But Logan Paul fighting Floyd, as much as it's Floyd Mayweather and it's Logan Paul and it's Miami, it's still, I don't know. Maybe I'm being biased because I'm not a part of it, but I just don't think it hits the same. I think there was this authenticity to having two huge YouTubers that had a first match as a draw and then rematching again in the States. I feel like the build-up and the energy surrounded around that event in particular, KSI Logan Paul 2, I don't think there's been a fight that matches it since. You know, Jake Paul, Tyron Woodley, there's pay-per-view sales to it, and it's just not the same. You know, it's kind of, because we know it's just you're fighting a MMA fighter. He's not a boxer. He's more experienced, but at the same time he can't fight. But it's good marketing. It's just too much going on. It's lost the purity that it had when it was YouTuber versus YouTuber, and I think that's the best way it was. It should have been kept that way, but there's money involved, networks involved, there's a lot of people involved, and if you can sell something, we'll go ahead with it. And there's still huge events, like I said, but the authenticity and the purity of having YouTuber against YouTuber on a big event, you can't beat that.
Is there anything that you say to, or you could say or would say to, that in any way some of these things can diminish the purity of the pure boxers that are involved, and maybe it looks, it appears that there's an unfair system out there where people who dedicate their lives to boxing are never going to make a huge living out of it? What's your take on all of that?
Yeah, I think there's a fine line between bank account and competition. Actual competition. Right. So Logan and Floyd, yes, they'll be compensated. People will tune in. Great business move. But in terms of competition and going to the arena and saying, I don't know who's going to win today, that plays a big part in the energy of these events. Going into KSI and Logan 1 and 2, and even KSI versus Joe Weller, which is documented in the Amazon Prime, you're thinking, I don't know. I'm a coach and I'm preparing him best I can, and I believe in my guy. But the audience, they're thinking, I'm not sure. I don't know. We have to tune in because this is 50-50. It's kind of lost that. It's lost that feel to it. And that's a major part in what
the novelty's worn off, is what you mean.
Yeah, the novelty has worn off. And Jake Paul versus Tommy Fury was a good one because Jake has proven to have boxing skill. Tommy is already an established professional. So you think, okay, you're putting yourself up against somebody here who can beat you. And that would have been a good fight to see. But besides that, you got Nate Robinson, he's a basketball player, and it's just stretching too far away from what it should be.
You will have thought about this. I don't know if you've been asked. Does
Yeah.
KSI beat Jake Paul?
I believe KSI does beat Jake Paul.
Should they fight? Should they fight?
They should fight, I think, and that's the fight KSI really wants. You know, it's many people say, "Oh, well, if he really wanted it, he would have done it already." People have to understand, he's a UK #1 worldwide charting artist. He's got commitments that he's signed himself up for that you can't just drop because you want to decide to fight. The same way he couldn't drop his fight commitments for music when he was fighting. It's the same thing. Whatever he does to such a huge scale. You have to commit yourself to that chosen field. Jake is making a lot of progress, but JJ is still training. And when he puts his mind to something, you'd be a fool at this point to doubt him. He's proven he can do it.
I've heard his mum say it, and I believe her.
Oh, and he's proven it too. The proof is in the pudding. He said, I'm going to sell music. He got a #1 album. He said, I'm going to box. He sold out arenas either side of the Atlantic. If you doubt this man, then you clearly haven't checked the stats.
Have you finally got him into yoga yet?
No, I haven't. I haven't got him into yoga yet. But if he says he wants to return to the ring and it's that time for him to come back, I will say to him, look, add this into your training. I won't be his coach anymore because, you know, I've got some big things cooking for myself and my own career, but I will still throw my little bits of input in, and being the guy that's been there from day one, I know he'll listen to what I'm saying.
Viddal, obviously we're building up to your fight at the Manchester Arena on February the 19th, isn't it?
Yes.
Tell me about how it's headed at the moment. What are we? We're 3 weeks away, just over 3 weeks.
3 weeks. I'm feeling good, man. Weight's coming down nicely. Speed is there. I've been getting in some good sparring as well. Been working with the British light heavyweight champion, Dan Aziz. We was getting some good rounds in just yesterday, in fact. You know, just sharpening up the game. I said my overall goal is to be a world champion. So even if I have a great sparring session and there's things that are missing that we know at a higher level could be, you know, exploited, we're on it now as if we are fighting for the world championship. It's not about what you can get away with now. It's about clearing those things out early and getting rid of those moves. So we've been having a very good camp. We're very focused. We know what we want to achieve. And I just can't wait to demonstrate how much work we've been putting in.
Viddal, it's always great to see you. I'll meet up with you for part 3 next week, yeah?
Yeah, I'm ready. Make sure you call on time next week, Gareth. Yeah.
My apologies for my tardiness, sir.
No, I'm playing. I appreciate the call.